class, good morning. So, welcome to our week 2 topic in ITP104 Laboratory, MySQL Workbench Environment. The topic objectives for this week: after discussion, the students are expected to be familiar with the MySQL Workbench environment and demonstrate the forward and reverse engineering. MySQL is an open source relational database. It is a cross-platform, which means it is run on a number of different platforms such as the Windows, the Linux, and the Mac OS. It supports multiple storage engines, each with its own specifications, while other systems like the SQL Server only support a single storage engine. It has a high performance compared to other relational database systems. It facilitates the creation of the new physical data model and modification of the existing MySQL databases with the reverse and forward engineering and change management functions. And the purpose of it is to provide the interface to work with the databases more easily in a more structured way. In this video, I will demonstrate to you how you will connect your database using a localhost connect and be able to connect your database using the MySQL Workbench. So you have to run your XAMPP on the control panel, and you have to start the Apache and the MySQL module. The green color indicates that you are now ready to browse your MySQL Workbench. MySQL Workbench will be able to see as your interface. So this area shows the connections. In my case, I have an existing connection. If you want to make your own connection, just click the positive sign button and type the connection names. For example, we have the localhost. You have to use the default value and take note of the host name 127.0.01. So this will be used later to see your localhost databases in the browser. Click the test connection button to continue. You will see the newly created connection in this area. This time, I will demonstrate how you will browse the XAMPP dashboard using the localhost address using the localhost connection, which is 127.0.01. Upon typing, you will see the XAMPP homepage, and by clicking the PHP My Admin menu, you will be directed to your local databases. These databases will also be visible in the MySQL Workbench to make sure you are ready to browse each database in the Workbench. So let us try to open the localhost connection in MySQL Workbench. Double-click the localhost connection. Therefore, you will able to see the local databases as shown in the XAMPP diagram. So these are the examples of the databases created that can be managed in the MySQL Workbench. So this is the environment of the MySQL Workbench. This is the SAM control panel that you have to run before you click the MySQL Workbench in your task manager or taskbar. As you can see, this is the MySQL Workbench homepage. We have the MySQL connection. This is where we type the connection name. So for example, you have to type the local host, then you have to click the test connection button. And these are the MySQL Workbench modeling and design tool. Models are at the core of the most valid and high-performance databases. Workbench has tools that allows developer and database administrators visually create the physical database design models that can be easily translated in MySQL databases using the forward engineering. MySQL Workbench support the creations of the multiple models in the same environment. So it also support all the objects such as views, tables, procedures, and etc., which make up a database. So the MySQL Workbench has a built-in model validating the utility that reports any issues that might be found to the data modeler. So this is an example of the MySQL SQL development tool. The structured query language, which allows you to manipulate the relational databases because it is considered as the heart of all the relational databases, wherein MySQL Workbench has a built-in SQL visual editor. These visual SQL editors allow the developers to build, edit, and run queries against MySQL Server databases. It has the utilities for viewing data and exporting it. So its syntax, color highlighters help the developers easily write and debug the SQL statements. There are multiple queries that can be run, and results are automatically displayed in the different tabs. The queries are also saved in the history panel for later retrieval and running. And then we have the MySQL Workbench administration tool. So this is found on the left side of your MySQL Workbench environment. The server administration plays a critical role in securing the data of the company. It concerns on the server administration, which are users management, server configurations, and the server logs, and many more. So the Workbench has the following features that simplify the process of the MySQL Server administration. We have the user administration, which visually utility, managing users that let database administrators easily add new and remove the existing users if needs arises. Grant and drop privileges, and view user profiles. How about the server configuration? Server configurations allow for advanced configuration of the server and the fine-tuning of the optimal performance. While the database backup and restoration, visually tools for exporting and importing the MySQL dump files, wherein these dump files contain SQL script for creating databases, tables, views, stored procedures, and insertions of data. While the server logs are visual tool for viewing the MySQL server logs, which include the error logs, the binary logs, and etc. So this log come in a handy when performing diagnosis on the server. So as you can see on the figure, it shows that the modeling window for MySQL Workbench. The forward and reverse engineering. If we say forward engineering, this goes from the logical model for data to a model for physical data. This is simple as the design includes all the dependencies, indexes, and relationship between data model components. While the reverse engineering, if we say reverse engineering, so it attempts from physical data model to reconstruct the logical data model, and this is difficult since it is not every database engine has the means to store the interdependencies between the objects in the logical model. And these relationships are often and completely lost. So by examining the data and inferring the missing relationship, this information has to somehow retrieve. How about forward engineering? So you have to click File, then select Open Model, then browse the model previously created. Use Forward Engineering procedure, then click the Database menu, then select Forward Engineer. Next, forward engineer to the database dialog box which appears, and then click Next button. So this is the procedure. You have to set for database to be created and then click Next. Select Objects to forward engineer, then click Next. Review the script to be executed and click the Next button. Forward engineering progress, then click the Close button. So again, if we say forward engineering, this goes from the logical model for data to a model for physical data. So this is simple as the design, which includes all the dependencies, the indexes, relationship between the data model components. Next, we have the reverse engineer. It is a database in MySQL Workbench. You have to select Database, Reverse Engineer from the top menu of the SQL Workbench. So you have to set or review the parameters for connecting to DBMS, then click Continue. You have to enter password if required, then click OK. The wizard will connect to the database management system and fetch a list of database and check for any issues, then click Continue. Select the database you would like to reverse engineer, then click Continue. The wizard will retrieve all the objects from the selected schemas and check the result, then click Continue again. You have to select the database objects you'd like to have reverse engineered, then click Execute. The wizard now reverse engineer all selected objects and generate the ER diagram, then click Continue. A summary is displayed, then click close. The ER diagram is now displayed on the screen. So this is the illustration on how are you going to do the reverse engineering. You have to select the database. Again, you have to save the database on the htdocs from the SAM folder. You have to click the database, then click reverse engineer. Click next, next. You have to check or select the schemas you want to include, then click next. Click next, and then execute. Click next, then finish. So you are now ready for the reverse engineer of your database, as you see in the illustration that I have done. These are the references used for week 2 topic. Thank you.